settled down more. I think I would probably go a little bit more opposite. I think I would have wanted got like a little married earlier and stuff like that, and still have my fun. But I think I would have, if I would have got, you know what I'm saying, clear earlier. I think that I definitely enjoy being in a relationship as opposed to not being in one. I think that's the one thing that I come to figure out about myself. I do have a little bit of a bone to pick with you too, but only if we have enough time.
I have enough time.
I need to get this charger. Really quickly. You were there. Well, you were there. I mean, a lot through the civil rights movement. Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
And you were also present the day that Martin Luther King was shot in Memphis, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to tell people your story, that amazing story.
Well, I don't know how much time you have, but
I still gotta get my charger. You can go ahead and tell it. I'm gonna get the charger.
Okay, so coming up to the death of Dr. King, it was a very hard time in Memphis, Tennessee. And by that I mean it was a lot of civil unrest. Dr. King actually came to Memphis to fight for the sanitation workers, and we call them sanitation workers, but in those days they were just called garbage men. And they were on strike, trying to get a living wage at that time, not $15 an hour. I think they were maybe on strike for maybe 98 cents an hour, or maybe $1.01. I don't remember the exact amount, but it was what we would call pennies.
Mm-hmm.
So they were on strike maybe for 8 cents more or something like that. And they wasn't making $1 an hour. So that's why Dr. King came to Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
And but before he got there, we had been trying to organize and marching, and it really didn't start with the sanitation workers, but that's why he came to town. But we were already trying to integrate some things in Memphis, like lunch counters where we were not allowed to sit or go in, and we could go in the stores to shop, but they had lunch counters. You call them food courts now, but they were called lunch counters, and we couldn't sit at the lunch counter.
Mm-hmm.
We could eat, but they would pass it to us, but we could not sit down. So we had been striking for things like that, and we were doing some sit-ins and some lay-ins, and so then the sanitation workers went on strike, and so Dr. King was invited, I think, by Dr. Benjamin Hooks and some other people in Memphis, and so he came. And he wasn't there very long before he was assassinated. And so we had this march. We had a couple of marches. And I always say I'm going back to that corner. And I believe, I don't want to say it, but I believe it was Calhoun and 4th, where we lined up to march. And so we were marching, and we would always have to be four abreast. And that means that we would have to hold arms with 4 additional people, and we make a chain so tight that nobody could break it. And so we were marching. So on this particular day, yeah. And so on this particular day, we were marching down, and we had gotten to Beale Street, and the same Beale Street that's so famous. It was always a famous street. It was always famous, but it was always a Black famous street. And then I'll tell you on a different segment how it changed from being a Black entertainment district to being a white mega entertainment moneymaker. And it changed hands from the Blacks to other races. I'll tell you that story. But anyway, it's still a very popular street. But anyway, we were marching down Beale Street. And I looked over to my left. I'm not in the front of the line. I'm way back in the line.
You froze.
Okay, where did I?
You say you were marching down on Beale Street?
Uh-huh. And I looked over, and there was a window broken. And I wondered in my mind, wonder what happened to that window. And then we kept marching, and then I got by A.W. Schwab, which is a business on Beale Street. And that window was broken. I'm wondering in my mind, and my cousin Elizabeth Brown was with me. And so I'm wondering in my mind, what's happening? What happened to the window? But we were still marching.
Mm-hmm.
Ironically, the violence broke out in the front of the line. And by us being in the back of the line, we didn't know what was going on. So they had started breaking windows, the marchers, and just really disrupting things. And so the next thing I know, the police, Dr. King was in the front of the line. He and Ralph David Abernathy, Jesse Jackson, Dr. Hooks, just a bunch of civil rights people. And so they rushed them away. And so we had to run for it. So we're running back to Mason Temple. And I get knocked down. The police are on horses and they're beating us with the billy clubs, just just indiscriminately. And so we're running for our lives. And so Elizabeth and I, some boy had fallen. A lot of people were falling. We were too. And so we picked him up and we're running with him. His head's bloody. So we get all bloody and everything. So we get back and we reorganize and then we go home. Well, that night we were supposed to come back together. We had been together the night before. And then that night we were supposed to come back together and downtown to hear Dr. King speak again. And it's my understanding Ben Branch, who was one of my neighbors that lived in the back of us, and also a big entertainer and a good friend of Dr. King, was on the balcony with him, and they were discussing what songs we were going to sing at church that night. And this shot rang out. I wasn't there when he got shot. I had gone home to take my mother and her friends. I had the only car in the neighborhood. So I had gone home to take my mother and her friends to mission meeting at church that night, and I was going back. But about 5:30, 6 o'clock, whatever it was in the evening, I had the TV on and it came on that Dr. King had gotten shot in the head. And I'll tell you, I was devastated. I remember falling on my bed and crying, what's going to happen to us now? What's going to happen? It was such a selfish cry, not realizing that he had gotten shot in the head, but not realizing that he wasn't going to make it. It was hours later before we knew he was dead. But they kept us in suspense, I guess, to notify the family or whatever. And I just remember laying there on my bed crying, almost paralyzed, that that such a sad day. And I relived all that these last couple of weeks, with all the violence and racial tension and all that. And so that was April the 4th, 1968. But he had come to town. I want to say he got there maybe the end of April. The end of March. He had not been there a day or two. And, and already he was dead. I just couldn't wrap my head around that. And then, of course, the city went up in flames and everybody was, there was a lot of violence. And then we were on curfew, and we were on curfew for 3 or 4 years every April after that because of the violence,
oh, really?
anger. Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, Dwayne was born during lockdown on that Thursday. Yeah, he was born on lockdown. I think it was a baby boom, really, because he was born April the 6th, 1969, and Dr. King was born assassinated on April the 4th, 1968. So all around that time, it would be riots in Memphis every year for quite a few years after that. So it was a hard time. And then, but the most amazing thing is we regrouped, we survived. His wife, Coretta Scott King, actually came and we did a silent march from the temple down to City Hall. And I want to say it was March Monday, but it was before his funeral. His wife was there at our last march before his funeral. And I was always amazed at her strength and her courage that she could come and take part in that march. before she even buried her husband. That was dedication to the movement. I mean, they were so into that movement.
Yeah.
And then I was, like I said, I was young, but I was just surprised to know that he accomplished so much in 39 years. He died a young man. He never got to get old.
Yeah.
So, but he was so dedicated. And then he was such a Christian. He loved the Lord so much.
Yeah.
And and I had issues with that for a long time. But life goes on. So
yeah. And I heard Kori them talking over saying the other day, like, I guess people were saying like how much he was hated, but I had to remind them he was hated. There was a lot of people that hated him as much as he was loved. He was like, before even that assassination, I told him to go back and watch the movie. You will see in the movie where did he have to send his kids away, and like how, or is that Malcolm X? But how to protect himself, sitting there with the guns and stuff at the window because they were coming by, bombing the houses, or just threatening him and his family with guns and things of that nature. And they were really ruthless back then. They didn't really care.
No,
and
they didn't.
Like the KKK and like all of that, a lot of people are Breonna Taylor, and I'm not taking anything away from anyone, but a lot of people aren't speaking up about the victims that were hung. So I definitely, while we were talking about it, definitely wanted to shed some light on that and pray that those victims also get some type of justice, because we know that they didn't hang themselves.
Right.
And it was over 6 of them. And I get the Breonna Taylor thing, but I don't get why people aren't speaking up more about the hangings.
Well, and I don't know, but I would assume that a lot of it has to do with the way the news media pick up stories. A lot of times you don't know what's going on. Yeah, you don't know what's going on behind the scene. Now they could really be still investigating, still working on that, but because it's not out there, we don't know. Because I was really surprised the other day. I was reading an article, and I'm still an avid reader. I was reading an article about the young lady that was killed at the Capitol, the Black girl that they said was ramming the gate at the White House. And didn't realize it had been 7 years ago. And what they're saying is several, I don't know if it's 7 or 5, but anyway, her sister has been fighting all this time for justice for her, but it's not making the media because there's so much else in the media. So these fights are going on, they're just going on without media attention, is what I'm believing. Because she's still fighting for justice for her sister. And she said that what happened at the Capitol and how her sister was gunned down, but they let these people come in and desecrate the Capitol and strike police and all that. And her sister had a mental problem and was out of town. So it's possible that she was afraid, and this is what her sister was saying, that possibly, I think her name was Bland, that possibly she was afraid to stop because of all the police, that was chasing her and everything. Got confused. And because she already had a mental illness, just didn't know what to do. So she just kept driving. And I've certainly been in situations, as you know, we drove across country all the time.
Yeah.
I was pretty, and there were nights when I would feel like I was driving for my life because I had my children in the car, and people would do and say mean things to us, and try and follow us and harm us and stuff. So I would, and so, I would always have to try and outrun a situation because I wasn't in a position to fight.
Yeah.
So I had to always try and outrun a situation. So I could relate to her being afraid and running for her life, because I've had to do it so many times coming across country with you guys.
Yeah.
And so I was surprised to hear her sister say that. And honestly, I had forgotten all about her. It's so much going on in the news.
Yeah.
I had forgotten her story. So I was happy to hear her say, well, I'm still fighting for justice for my sister.
Yeah. And not to say anything about our president, but I didn't know that she was the Attorney General for California. So I'm not going to say that that didn't like put a frown on my face, knowing the Black man that, you know, and Mikey's situation, like he's 25 years, signed 2 strikes. I think that 3 strikes in California should be demolished, period. I don't know how it ever got on there. I mean, it was a corporal punishment, and they use it in such a way that is not fair.
Yeah, and it was never meant to be used the way that they used it. And I'm going to confess to you, I was all for 3 strikes back in the day. And because crime was so out of control. And I don't know if you remember this, but one night we were coming home and 2 little boys got shot on Maple Street. And I think they died. And it was because of the crime. It was because the crime was out of control. And we had just walked in the courtyard. And I always thought, we had just walked in and closed that door, because it was a drive-by. Had we had just not walked in that courtyard, that could have been us. And so I was for the 3 strikes. I was so frightened for my children and in my life. But and I thought, well, it's going to get these violent people off the street and we're going to be safe. Well, what they turned it into was something entirely different. You know,
did you not realize that they were as violent as us and they were causing half the problems?
No.
Like, did you not realize they were setting the boys up and they were pulling your boys over every time? Did you not realize that the police were half the problem?
No, I didn't. And that's because I think
we would have these conversations all the time. And I think I was the one that tried to like change your mind about it. Cause I remember you would lay down and would be like, these people, and I'd be like, how could you call on these people? First of all, we live in the neighborhood with them. And I think it would upset me so, like your view on everything. And I would be like, how are you so blind living in our neighborhood?
And that's true, because fear will make you do a lot of things. You know, you can look back on it and say, well, why was I so afraid? Why was I so frightened?
Who, me or you?
No, me.
We was in the neighborhood. We wasn't frightened. We was in no drive-by. You just wasn't telling you.
Oh, you know, well, I didn't know that and don't know it until today. But, you know, when you're a mother and you have your children and you're a single mother and you're out there doing the best you can, all you can think about is protecting yours. And so I've lived a lot of days to regret a lot of decisions. And being for 3 strikes is certainly one that I'd certainly regret. So, but it was because of the times. And then I really didn't realize what it meant. That's why I read so much now. I'll never be caught off guard like that again. I didn't realize what it meant. I thought it really meant if you did a violent crime 3 times, you were going to jail. That's how naive I was. Didn't realize that you could go to jail for anything and get struck out and be in jail for the rest of your life. Didn't realize that until my boys began to get caught up with it. And then, you know, I was talking to different attorneys and things of that nature. And then they began to tell me, well, no, that's not what it means, ma'am. You know, your boys are going away for a long time. Like, what do you mean? They're not going away for nothing. But you you live and you make your mistakes.
Yeah.
And so
I'm not faulting you for it. I was just bringing it up because we are talking about these days and what's going on. And I think that it's terrible. I think it's terrible that my nephew has been in jail for, how long has Mikey been in jail yet? Off of 2 strikes?
Yeah, and well, they struck him out. They struck him out. I don't know. Maria can tell us better, but I think they struck him out 6 or 7 strikes at one offense. So, And so I said all that to say, I understand Kamala Harris. I don't know if she was the Attorney General at that time out there. But we all have a past. We just got to live with it.
Yeah, but I would hope in her presidency, she would try to make some of that right.
I hope so.
And especially seeing how it has little stuff like that is what has railroaded us now. You know what I'm saying? So if they really want to change things, Kim Kardashian, all that, they can talk about reform. You can pull a few people out that wasn't, but what about these young boys that are being derailed every day? If you want to talk about prison reform, you definitely have to take away the 3 strikes, period. And like, why?
And I think, Darby, that's what I was about to say.
And another thing, they should be judged off their past. Once the crime is done, they did their time. They shouldn't get double because they did a crime before. They did their time. If they didn't do their time, why would they get double for doing your time before? The scale is old. It's so many things. So I hope that in talking about prison reform, they really get serious about it and not
your stream froze. So if you were saying anything, we didn't hear it.
Okay. I was saying, like, with prison reform, I hope they really get serious about it if they really want to do it, and really talk to us, the ones that have been through it, that can really tell you what we would need in prison reform. Why are you judging them off when they've already have done their time and now they get to do double time because they did another crime? That's not fair. They already did their time, so why are they judged again?
And see, these Secondly, are go on.
Go ahead.
No, I was just trying
if they want to do like Kim Kardashian, they can like do like, but you didn't hear her like speaking that much about like the prison in Alabama that was like filthy and treating these boys, and they didn't shut that down right away. So it's like they don't have no bed to sleep on. Like, it's just ridiculous. Half of them shouldn't be in there. Half of them should be. There was so many more programs they can do. And like the man got upset when I said about sending them to military or something, let them do their time and coming home. At least if you sent them, they had a purpose. You give them a new way of life. You give them a purpose. You give them a job. All you're doing right now is sending them to jail. No therapy when they come home. Now they got to come home, try to figure it out. Half of them don't even have a place to even come home to. Like, it's crazy. And then they're talking about reform. What reform? Like, and then you made it to that where if their rental history, so now they can't get a job. Now they can't get an apartment because they're prisoners. Like, what does that have to do with them living in a home? Like, if they didn't steal an apartment complex, then why can't they? If they didn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, if their crime didn't have nothing to do with that, then why are they, you know what I'm saying?
But like, see, we need people like you.
There's so many things that you get to before the big protest. Yeah, the big protest is great, but them things that you're signing away, those things that people only look on the surface, and you forget about how it's gonna hurt the Black families. You don't think about how it's gonna strip us away from each other. Now the communication isn't there. Now we're so angry at each other that we're not sticking together. So, and this is kind of why I started this blog, because I do want to address all those problems. You know what I'm saying? Like, getting people to talking and going the hard route. Like, you know, they make it so hard. Like, I mean, people hate when I say little simple things, but like, and they hate my mind, and they be like, it is not that easy, India. You can't just water California because it's burning. Well, they made man-made streams through everything else. I just don't understand why some things are so hard. I think I should be the president.
That's what I was about to say. It's people like you with new, fresh ideas that we need in this country. It's people like you. I mean, my day is over. You know, I can't.
Don't say that, please. God, we got about. I had this other kid coming, and
I mean my day of protesting. My days of running the streets and Black Power. You know, my days are over. I can't do the Black Power thing no more because I can't run as fast as I used to. Yeah. But But we're passing the charge to you guys, people that's passionate like you are, that's not afraid to speak out. That's
well,
what
I don't want no social media haters and all that. So I ain't gonna say I'm gonna say too much on social media, but I do have a strong mind and a strong opinion. And I would love to get it out there, but the mental health thing is so much more to put out there at first, then we can dig deeper, but it all stems from it. It all stems from it. And it all equals up to us being broken and not staying together and all of these things. All of these things, my brother's going to jail, happened to, all them things, 10 years out of my life, you know what I'm saying? Like, so but it's happening for a reason. So I'm so happy that we got a chance to talk about it, at least start to touch on the subject. I know that we'll come back to it later, because that is just a huge Pandora's box to open up.
Yeah. And then you need to get them on and hear their stories, because they're so broken because of their past. And absolutely, life is so unfair to them because of their past. And they're not the only ones. Right. Like I said earlier, we all have a past, but at some point we have to get over our past. But if society, and I had a teacher that told me one time, and I've never forgotten her words, and I use that word society quite a bit, and this is when I was in high school.
According to whose society?
Yeah.
Oh, and what were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
And that's exactly what she said to me. She said, Vera, you need to learn how to shut up sometime and listen. And my kids tell me that all the time. She said, you're so opinionated. You're so
Leos, y'all Leos. Don't think about it.
She said, you're so opinionated and you're so above your time. She said to me, Black people don't have a society. And I'm like, excuse me? And she said, no, we don't have a society. We live in theirs. And so every time I use the word society, I think about her. Mabel Jones was her name. And I think about her and how she was a product of brainwashing, of Black, I don't know, she was Black herself, but, a person of low self-esteem, even though she was in a position of authority, she could not help raise us up out of who we were. And so she couldn't deal with my ideology. And she failed me too. But that's okay.
She's looking at you right now, like Joe Osteen said, they looking at me right now. Yeah, so he brags so much on him. Oh, Joe Osteen is like,
yeah, she failed my talk and tell. But and when I say that, we need people like you, pass that torch on to you guys, because you got to make a voice, you got to speak up and make a difference. And you're making a difference every day, but the world needs to know the difference that you're making.
Yeah, it took a lot for me to do this blog. So I always have held back, but I think that just comes from me being burst out into the world early. Not that it was a bad thing at all, but when I'm around all these older people and you're the younger person and you're smarter, you know what I'm saying? You're not always, You're
not always well accepted. I know.
I can't say I'm smarter than people, but I don't know. I think I just have a different view.
Well, you're more mature than people your age, and it's because of your background and the way you were raised, and your views are different. You have my views, kind of radical. And that's not a bad thing. It got me in lots of trouble. I had lots of enemies. I still do. But you know what? It's okay.
Ray taught me to call them fans.
Oh, okay. Well, I have lots of fans. And so you'll have lots of fans as well. But it's okay. It just makes you stronger.
Yeah, I guess so. It definitely make you.
And I know you've been trying to get off this phone for a while, and I just been talking and talking and talking, but.
Oh, no. I wanted you to. I just needed to make a run that was going like low, but I'm cool. And then I don't know this hair, but
well,
no,
yeah,
I
in
love
2
you, and
hours.
I definitely wanted your story, and I know you were tired, but it's like you got your second energy talking about your past. So I just want to know how. I'm so proud of you. I think that you're amazing, and I hope that your story and our story and the story of the boys will help everything that we're talking about, because you're right. They have amazing stories and of being these Black men in the street
Right.
and what we went through with them all these years. And I was telling you the other day how I kind of got upset. It wasn't even directed towards me, you know. The conversation was about 2 other people or whatever, and their situation. It was a domestic violence situation, and I'm like, I'm just kicking back listening though. But one of the people that was having the conversation starts calling the girl that he's referring to, and mind you, we're only hearing one side of the story. And we've heard things about this person too. So, you know, I don't know how you can like crack the whip, but it's like, start referring to the person as like, these are not really words in my vocabulary, but like D and devil and demon, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know, it just kind of bothered my nerve. And like, I don't want to call myself an empath, because if I have any gifts, I can't really say that I'm excited about it, you know. They're confusing. It's not anything that, you know, I don't know. It's so, as I'm sitting there and I'm listening to the story, I don't know, I just start to feel some type of way, and I just felt like throwing up, and I just started becoming very nauseated, and I couldn't breathe. And I'm just like, I just need to get out the car, because we were chilling. It was cold, so we were sitting in the car talking, and I'm like, I just need to get out, because at this point I'm just having a hard time just, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even know what the emotions are, but I'm just like, but then to hear like, yeah, like I've been treated certain way too by, you know, certain people. And when people make you upset, how can you go past all their hurt, their pain, everything that they've been through in life, even if they are alcoholic? My brother has a problem. I mean, I don't want to say it on camera, but you know, he's dealing with that, and I wouldn't call him a demon. Like, you've never lost 2 kids. Like, you don't know his hurt, you don't know his pain. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's like calling me one. I didn't have a right to be upset. I didn't have a right to, you know what I'm saying? If you did something so to me, like, I didn't have a right to my feelings before I became such awful thing in your eyes. You know what I'm saying? When you will never be that to me. So I just had to like check her on that. And I think I ended up saying to her at the end of it, like, I am not judging. I'm not into you guys' conversation. Any of that is just kind of the words that you're choosing are a little bit harsh to me. And I'm just going to choose myself situation. And I was like, I can just relate to the situation because I've been in those situations. But, and I was like, I ended it off with like, how could I ever be that if I'm a child of God, period? Like, how could any of those things ever come out of me? I have a right to my feelings, to my emotions, to my experiences that you may not necessarily know about before you put such harsh words on me. So I do want people to be really crazy. I mean, really, really, like, we're out here having this conversation, putting our family out there in these natures so that people can get past these things. Because when that lady jumped off the building with her daughter, we're not going to call her, you know what I'm saying? And you can call that crazy, because who would ever, with their child, at least take yourself, not you. But people out here are dealing with some really extreme things, you know what I'm saying? So when people dismiss and go so ugly in their words, when they're referring to situations, sometimes it ain't got nothing to even do with you. It wasn't even your situation. You weren't even there. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, like that. But I was telling you, the bone that I had to pick with you was that, so the other day I was telling you about how I had this dream, and how I woke up and how, okay, so, oh, and I've missed something very important in this dream, and it may make you tear up. So in my dream, I watch a lot of scary movies. So I don't be like, oh, demons or devils or anything like that. I can contribute it to what I do. I watch scary movies and stuff like that. And sometimes I watch them before I go to bed. So sometimes my dreams can be a little, because I have a photogenic memory. So if I think about something, it comes in my head very clear. You know, like if I like looking at this shelf and I close my eye, the shelf is still literally, like I can draw it. Mm-hmm. Like I can see all the lines. I have a photogenic memory. So anyway, I was having this dream and we were on the couch and I was telling you how I had a dream that I have a baby. And me and Kori are laying, and this is kind of going away. This is, but we're gonna pick back up on that. And I just want to thank everybody for coming. You know, you can end now if you want to, if you're just hearing a story. But this dream that I had, so I'm laying in the bed with the baby and I'm changing the diapers and Kori is laying next to us. And out of the tent starts to come this little thing or whatever. So it's coming towards me. And I'm like trying to say in my dream, leave us alone. You know what I'm saying? Like we're God, like we can't, that's not. And so I was silenced and then I woke up. So I remember like telling myself, like, next time this happens, like I'm going to be strong enough even in my dream to make sure that, you know what I'm saying? I let it be known even in my dream, like, no, I'm not to be played with. Like I'm a child of God, So me and Kori, we were just laying on the couch chilling because sometimes we have movie nights, we'll lay on the couch and let's fall asleep. So this night we're laying on we fell asleep and I'm having this dream. And I've been having this kind of like pandemic dream a little bit where I'm always moving to like these houses. Sometimes we're fighting zombies, sometimes we're in the hood. Then we always move to this beautiful place. Sometimes they'll like come and like get us out there, but it's always different people in my dream. We move to like this other place and then everyone chooses a house because, everything's empty because everyone left, like, so we just choose whatever house we want. And it's always like on this beautiful beach and we have these fly houses and, and then we go to, but, sometimes the zombies will come out there, sometimes they won't. But, but it's been a pandemic dream. I've been having it since the pandemic. So anyways, but in this, so we moved to this house or whatever. So, I don't know. I think something happened. Like, so you're in the room and you're trying to protect me and you're saying, stay out of here. Don't come in here because there's something in the house and we don't want you to get hurt. And I'm like, you're crazy. I'm coming in here. You're like, and I didn't tell you, but it was you and grandma was telling you, she wasn't there, but she was there in spirit, I think. She came to reiterate like whatever you were trying to say. And then like, as I'm coming through the hallway, I look in the bathroom or something, and then it comes out at me and I like push me on the floor and I'm like, and I like do this and I put like the cross on her chest, and then it like went away. And then I'm like fighting myself to you guys, because grandma is saying like, don't protect her, like make sure she doesn't come in here or whatever. And, it's a dream. So, and then like, so it comes back and I'm like testing it again and I put the things on, but this time it's stronger and it doesn't work. So I go, I'm a child of God, and I'm putting the cross. And I said it, I don't know how many times in my dream. Kori said I said God 3 times. But so I'm like saying I'm a child of God. And then as I'm saying that, I don't even get like it out of my mouth and a white like light comes and takes me. And I'm like on the couch. So I fall and I'm all sweaty and, and I wake up. But Kori said I wake up, but I woke up, I heard the last God, like, because I heard it clearly come my mouth. But she said I yelled it 3 times.
Well, I don't know what to say. I don't know what
That's
to say
crazy,
about
right?
that. Yeah. I mean, it's, I don't know what to say. I'm not a
The
good.
bone that I had to pick with you was that lately, I've been praying to God because I realize that I do have something, and I don't know, I don't want to but I also don't want to be like this empath and not knowing that it's other people's feelings that I'm feeling and not mine. So I've been asking for a little bit of clarification and to kind of for him to show me. And, so these are kind of been my prayers. So when I was talking to you the other day about what happened between when God came and spoke to me, I always notice that when I tell you something I don't like, you don't like if it's a job that you don't necessarily like that I'm there, or if it's a man, do you notice that you have never once told me to stand fight for any man that I was with?
No.
Mm-hmm. You guys tell me to, or you don't tell me to leave. You just be like, even with job, if you don't like I'm a waitress, so you be like, just quit. Like you never be like, no, stay until you find another job. And then with even the men, you like to do the same thing. So, but that wasn't the bone I had to pick with you. The bone that I had to pick with you was that because of the biasness, so when you called me and you said, your friend with the S, I'm concerned about her. I thought it was sure, my friend in California. My friend here ended up having a stroke a week later, and she was alone. So I think it was, I'm gonna tell you something. That was creepy though. So when you called me that, and you called me and told me that, I didn't question you anything. I called my friend and I tried to get a hold of her, right? I don't ever question your ability or your whatever. But when I talk about mine, not necessarily talking about the person or whatever, not knowing that I have an ability or not, I'm just coming to you with some of my experiences. And I told you the other day that because of the person I'm talking about, you tend to always be even to the fact where you made a whole sermon about if you're hearing which voice are you hearing in your head. So I'm the bone that I had to pick with you is that I know that you can be a little bit biased because of who and what I'm talking about, but just you have things I don't know why these things are happening, so it's kind of when you're dismissive of not necessarily what I'm talking about, because I can get why you would, what I'm saying? If I'm talking about someone that hurt me, then, you know what I'm saying? I can understand from a mother or a friend or whatever, why you guys wouldn't necessarily want me to be this is the person for you. But if God said what he said, you know what I'm saying? What can I do? I think the thing that bothered me though is you questioned it. How would I know it's God? Because when I talked to you about my experience with Kori and how she got to the doctor, I didn't tell you I heard God's voice in my head. I told you I heard his voice reiterating what he had already been telling me when I talked to you about a situation, and I'm going to touch on it. God did. I didn't remember this until I said it the other day. But remember when I was a child, I woke up in the church crying and you prayed over me because I had a vision about my past. About my future. And that vision came true.
I don't remember the specific incident.
You wouldn't probably remember it because I didn't remember it, because it was something that happened. I was young and we prayed it off and we forgot about it. So it couldn't have been a self-fulfilled prophecy because it was nothing that I even remember happened.
Mm-hmm.
So you were like, how did I know the difference between these voices or whatever? And I just wanted to let you know. And I can tell you something else that's funny. that would let you know that there is, and he does, and he has been showing me because I've been asking him to clarify. So I asked him to clarify and to see like whatever. And this is weird. I don't like talking about it. So I don't know if other people have this, but you know, for me, I just keep it to myself and I talk to my mom about it, but I'm talking to her about it on here because it's still all part of the process. So what was I saying? Oh, so, okay. So I told you he has a sense of humor and I'm always hearing him. He thinks he's funny or something. Okay. So I'm like, how do I know, you know, what dreams are, you know, or what to be? I can tell you 2 dreams that I had that came true. One, I had a dream that Anaya was going to get a beige car with beige interior. She ended up getting the first car. It was gray with beige interior. It wasn't the car that I dreamed about. I dreamed that it was a Toyota, but you know, sometimes the details aren't clear. Mm-hmm. She ended up wrecking that car 6 months into it and ended up getting a gold car. The car, not the car that I dreamed about, but the color and everything.
Okay.
The second one is stupid. I mean, I'm just telling you, like, I do have, like, you know, I don't know. You know, I can have a dream about something. Sometimes I'll tell Corey and then I'll be like, or can hear, you know, not hear. I don't hear. Like if I ask or something, like I may get sent like a answer. Mm-hmm. But I don't like hear, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
My inner, like whatever my intuition is what tells me if something's bad is gonna happen. Like when the car hit Keisha's, and I told you I just had it's to me it's like always a sharp boom in my stomach. Mm-hmm. Like, and I could never know what it is until the news would come out. You know what I'm saying? Right. Or like, so this is stupid. I don't even want to say it. So he has a sense of humor. So this guy that ghosted me he came over or whatever, and we were going out to get some food, and we were headed out the door. And the night before, maybe 3 nights before, 4 nights before or something, I had this stupid dream that he pooped his pants. But in the dream, he was walking down the stairs. And like these poop pants, like saying, let's go. And I'm like, you need to like. Okay, so he didn't poop his pants, right? But a few days later, he came to my house and he went to the bathroom for like a long time. And I'm waiting at the door because we're about to go. He was like, I said, did you go to our bathroom? He was like, no, I didn't or whatever. But it's just funny, the dream. And then, so I don't think I have a gift or anything. I don't know. I don't want it. So I don't know what it is. I don't care what it is. It's weird when it happens. It's like deja vu or something.
Well, whether you want it or not, you have it.
But I got it fairly from you, but it's awkward that you be like, and then if I talk to you about something, you'll dismiss me depending on how you feel about what I'm talking about. And that was the bone I had to pick with you. Like, you can't be dismissive because of who I'm talking about or the subject. But I told you that the other day, but I didn't tell you that grandma was in my dream and she was protecting me and you were protecting me. And it was all 3 generations there. Was Corey there? I don't know. That's pretty cool.
Well, I don't know, but I know the Bible says young men will dream dreams, and that means male, female, and old men will see visions. So you're not an old man, so you're young and you're dreaming these godly dreams. So he'll give you the interpretation. And I'm sorry if you think I'm being dismissive. A lot of times I don't know what to say. And a lot of times when you think I'm being dismissive, I'm probably praying on it. Asking God to tell me what to say.
Okay.
Because I have to be so careful what comes out of my mouth. And you will learn that. And I think you're already learning it because we're people that, and I don't want to say I don't want to say that we have this gift, but usually if I dream it like you, or you like me, it's going to in some way manifest. So I'm really leery of my dreams. And I'm even leery of what comes out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like if I say it,
Yeah.
you know, it's kind of weird. It's not happening.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
It really is. I have to be careful of like, but the crazy part is that when I be getting pissed about it, I be like, how come the bad stuff can happen? But I said I was a million. Where my $1 million? You know what I'm saying?
Well, maybe it's coming. It's coming. It's coming.
Like,
but I understand. I understand.
Like, dang, like I mean, I spoke it like not. So I always try to knock on wood. I try to put it back in the earth because you're right. It is creepy sometimes on how, and especially if I said something bad and it happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't do it. I only thought it. I swear.
Yeah, and then
I didn't even say it out loud. God.
Yeah, and then what I'll do is when I have those moments, I would say, God, I didn't mean it. I immediately repent because,
yeah, or apologize or whatever.
Yeah.
Because
So,
it comes back on us too sometimes, double times fold. Like, yeah, I've learned a lot about myself this year, but that's not something I'm looking, like, I don't want. So when Maurice talks about his experience, it's not necessarily I don't believe him, but I do think that he has to take human factors into perspective, because it is quite possible that he does have a gift, but he's taking it wrong and it's scaring him, and he's going completely somewhere else with it. But I think if you acknowledge some of the human things about it, like I acknowledge that I watch a lot of scary movies and that I wear glasses. So sometimes I can, and if I don't have them on, and, especially in the dark.
Well, I don't know if you noticed, but, I hate to say, life is just like that. And so we don't have all the answers.
No, not at all.
But and it's not always fun finding the answers. So, and I leave a lot of things alone. My friends would tell me, "Oh, Vera, not gonna let you talk about that," because some things I don't even want to hear because it gets into my psyche, and then it affects me. And I'm not talking about that today.
Yeah.
And it's past a certain time at night, you can't talk to me about certain things because I have to go to sleep and it's going to be in my psyche and I'm going to have some type of reaction to it. I can't do that.
Well, I feel like if I am, and like I said, my mind is so, but I feel like if I was able to feel my daughter's symptoms, then why can't my healthy pancreas heal her pancreas? If we're empaths and things of that nature, like why can it be used? But these are the things of the Bible that they took out, and pinnacles, and these radical way of thinking are things that they have not wanting us to explore. But I don't want to explore it either. But in this case, like if my daughter land next to me 2 hours a day, you know what I'm saying, with my pancreas on her pancreas, is giving her pancreas some type of energy or that she needs then or whatever, or if it's possible that, some type of your energy or your vibration or whatever, can manifest into the other person, why can it also help to heal?
I don't know, but all things are possible for those who believe. So I don't know. I don't have the answers.
Me either. I throw them out there.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
Yeah, for it.
I take a different approach. I just command her pancreas to work the way that God had meant for it to work.
Yeah.
And you know, so we're both doing the same thing. God's going to heal her. I believe it. You know, I I keep asking him why, and then I say, I'm sorry, I don't need to know why I asked you that. But you know, we're human, and we go through all these things, and never expected that. That one came out of nowhere.
Yeah, and no, and I said on here last time that I only seen you cry once, but I was wrong. When I got there that day, it was like the weight of you and Kori just,
Yeah.
Everybody that week. It was like I was the light y'all needed to see because everyone was barely holding on.
Yeah, like I said, it came out of nowhere, and sometimes I have to confess this, and then we're going to get off. But I have to confess this. Sometimes I get so angry and so upset. Well, I won't say angry. Yeah, I yell at God sometimes because I don't understand, and it's not for me to understand. And you know, it's only for me to trust and to believe, and He'll take care of everything else.
Yeah.
And sometimes I get weak, you know,
and then I was writing today something, and I was writing in my blog, and when I wrote this in my blog, we can ask why, but we have to look at how many people, because I brought that up to you because I did write in my blog today about how I did hear his voice, and how from his voice, not only did he save my daughter, but who knows, I didn't even ask if her doctor was going to continue to do well visits because she caught it in Kori's case. But Kori doctor out here, also because of her story, he was about to stop doing the well checks because he thought it was a waste of time, and he's not anymore. He's gonna continue to do the well checks.
and see, even
so I think that our journey, you know, just how many people we saved already just through her story alone, from the two doctors that she was, or the doctors that heard her story and decided, you know, we're going to continue to check well patients for things that aren't necessarily visible. So you don't know how many, you know, we don't know how many lives she saved from her story, or how many lives that we'll save from ours. Like maybe I didn't get the white picket fence and my husband, you know, that I was spoken about, but I do have my daughter.
Yeah.
You know, and we do have this amazing opportunity, which I probably wouldn't have done if I didn't go through this. I wouldn't have known to even talk about all of this. So, yeah. Well, but yeah, I do want to encourage people to get tested, to get help, to not put things off. Just, you know.
Yeah, just take care. Our body really does speak to us, to give us signs, but we ignore the signs, you know, because we don't realize there are signs. So
even mentally,
anything, you know, yeah, and if something seems wrong, go get it checked. Like in Kori's case, we had no idea, you know.
It was God all the way.
Yeah. And it was at a critical point.
Yeah.
We had no earthly idea.
So yeah, like sometimes I'll ask why, like, you know, if he was such for me, like, why not now? You know, like when I'm better and everything, why then? But I had to think about the message that came through him, and it maybe had nothing to do with, you know, maybe it was just an introduction, maybe, because if everything would have been perfect, would I have got help? If everything would have been perfect, you know, like we probably would have been married right now and with all that, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, would I have started this blog to help other people, and would I have even got therapy thinking I was okay? You know? So,
I'm proud of you.
I don't think it's a loss. I definitely think that we're about to gain so much. I think that people lost me which is unfortunate for them because
You're a
mean,
talented person.
everybody can go to the Super Bowl or whatever without your star player. You feel me? So, so you lose that star player, you know, your team may have been good, but you know, it was great with that person. So you may have a good team, but you had an amazing team when I was on it.
Amen. Amen. I certainly agree. I certainly agree. I want to
But yeah, Mama, I love you.
I love you too. And thank you for doing this blog, and please keep it up and do it more often. And let's get the family involved.
Yeah, they're coming. I already talked to Maurice about doing his. So I'm gonna sit everybody down and let everyone introduce and then allow other people to come in on the situation. Because I think it's important for every individual to have their own introduction. Right. And then we can kind of come in on each other's.
Well, you're inspiring me, and I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna go. You know, you've been trying to get me to write this book forever in 2 days. Yeah. And so maybe now is the time that we need to start putting pen to paper. Yeah. So many things out there. I never had time. I never had time, but I've written this book 1,000,000 times in my head.
Yeah, absolutely.
So maybe now I can speak it and then translate it, and you know, and everybody have their chapter and we can tell our story.
Well, that's how I envisioned it. I kind of envisioned it kind of like, of course, I wanted to do it. It was my idea, kind of starting with me. And then as I went along in the story, of course, Sam can break he'll, you know, the book would be Sam or the book will be Dwayne, or, you know, from my story, it would branch off into everyone else's stories.
And I think that's the way it should be, because you've gone through to get where you are. You've taken that step. And I told you before, I've been in therapy before, a couple of times before. And I was always...
No, I thought it should start with you. Okay, but go ahead, I'm sorry.
And I was always embarrassed to talk about it because I didn't want people to think that they somehow was right all that time when they called me Crazy Jean.
Right. You don't want people to see inside your story, your pain. You don't want them to feel like they won because you went through this pain. Like, none of that, but I'm winning now. Like, none of that matters to me anymore. And you're right. I didn't want it. It took me a long time to just even start it because it is anxiety putting it out here. But when I think about the teachers that I want to call out, Mr. Lawrence and all of that tried to fail my daughter, it's so much more than me. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I'm coming back, you know what I'm saying, for those people. You understand what I'm saying? I'm going to that school and I'm going to make sure that they have lists to know, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, you're going to be that advocate. You're going to be that advocate for her, and those students that's yet in that school that's being treated unfairly because something that's so out of their control. So yeah, you need to do that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's so much bigger than us. And I've always known that we were a special family, and that, I mean, I've seen this vision for us for a long time. I've been recording us and I've been trying to push this movement. I just have to stop waiting on people and get my own confidence and push it forward. And yeah, we're here. So
yeah,
I love you and I thank you for joining me on it. And I can't wait till Kori joins us because she's so funny and has her own point of view. And yeah, I definitely thank you. I definitely want to put this like out here today and let people hear your story.
So. And thank you again for having me. And you know, it's been great. And I want to do it again. I want to keep doing it. And you've really encouraged me, not only in this, but in my ministry and, you know, just in life. And I think you've given the family a platform to heal. And that's what I want to leave you with today.
Oh, thank you. And I do want to let everyone know that you can go on to my website, my blog, and you can make your individual pages. You can tell your story. You can put your pictures up and people can follow you. if you need money, put your Cash App. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to suffer alone. Family, friends, people we don't know yet that are family and friends, like, your family and friends can follow you on there. You know what I'm saying? You just make a member and you can have your personal space for your needs, you know, and it's not social media, so it's not public, you know. And if you want to make, I don't know if you can make it private, but only people that are members onto the site will be able to see what's going on with you. I mean, I can make it public if you guys want me to, a request, but we'll get there. You know, I just want everybody to feel safe at this point to just go on, tell your stories, put your vision boards up. We did vision boards for 2021, Mama. So if you want to go and put yours up, you already have a member thing in there. So you can go put your vision board up, and you can put your picture up, and your invitation to your birthday, and all of that can go up under there. So the family, and if you want people to put the Zoom on there and all of that, like all that can go in there, so that the family can keep in touch, friends can keep in touch. Yeah, and hopefully it'll grow from there.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm getting used to all this stuff, and so I will do it. It might take me a minute, but I'll do it. Because so now I understood what you were saying about Tell Maria. So I didn't really understand that. So now I got a better understanding. So I'll tell her and others now that I understand it.
Yeah, and she can go in there and put a memory page for little Dwayne. I would love for her to put some pictures on there of my nephew. I didn't see him too much before he passed away, so
I didn't either.
Stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? Maybe pictures we don't have, we can all share on that page together. Things like that, you know? If you guys are having an event or something, you can put on the page, like, and it's just not for my family, it's for anyone that wants to become a member. And we also encourage you to get help. My mother's a minister. You can come to her. You can talk to her. As you can see, I talk to her all the time. She gives me great advice. So you can reach out to her at God's Amazing
Grace Christian Church. And we are online. I'm redoing the website now, but we do have a page up, and you can reach us there. And we have a church phone number, which is 619-488-0890. You can reach us there.
Yes.
And also on this blog. So
yes. Well, thank you, Mama.
Thank you. Love you.
Oh, and you are proud. Me and Kori did get out in a March, but being that Corona and she's high risk, we definitely stood to the side. But she was able to get down there, feel the energy, see the people walk by. It brought her to tears. So yeah, it was amazing. It was a pretty big group, but we did stand to the side and let them do their thing to keep her safe.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to take it up. I'm not able to walk anymore. I can't run. Can't do those walks. But I do plan on staying active out there with, of course, I'll be a Black advocate until I die. You know?
Yeah, and we just have a new platform now. You don't have to go out there anymore. We can do it right here. So.
Okay, sounds good.
I love you, Mama.
Love you.
Next time I call you, I'm gonna need to do some gravy because I need some gravy over something.
Okay. And I'm gonna start doing those little video clips and doing that too, because I really want to do my cookbook. I was thinking about that the other day when I came up with this recipe, and it was really good. So I'm still creating recipes. So.
Yeah, and I think it'd be really fun to have you and Kori do some of the challenges after, or do some of the weird stuff that like people put on YouTube. Like they did like a Coca-Cola chicken.
Oh, really?
Like a Coca-Cola fried chicken. So I think it'd be really fun to like have you and Kori try other people's recipes and see how it turns out.
Okay, yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, I love doing stuff like that.
Yeah, but next time, maybe when we get Mr. Floyd on, you can help me with the gravy in the back while we talk to him about his story.
Okay, will do.
Okay, I love you.
I love you too. Good night, and I am cutting off the recording.
Okay.